What are you navigating, Raven?
Okay, trying not to suffocate on camera. What am I navigating this week? I am navigating. No, I know. I love that you guys have been on this journey with me, this whole saga of going to school with people who are complementarian and not egalitarian, because it's been interesting. And every week I hate to always bring it up, but also that's literally what I'm navigating. And so, saga 4, I guess, right? This week I'm still navigating that. Some things happened. I want to share with you now in the audience. Let me tell you this. I was going to call you tonight, but I didn't. No, I literally went home and cried. I was in the church planting class. It was like all men. Morgan, I sent you the picture. All men, nothing but all men. And it's a group of men who obviously don't believe in female preachers. I don't think everybody in the room didn't, but nevertheless, church planting is when bigger churches basically continue to grow and build smaller churches or micro churches in areas that aren't churched, if you will. So, but typically that's done by men, because when people think men, pastors, they think males oftentimes historically. Well, maybe it depends on the context you come from. Anyway, so the school that I go to, if you haven't been following, is a male-centric school when it comes to preachers and preaching. And with that being said, in the class, we all went around and said, everywhere you're from, what's been going on in your life recently. Fast forward, they got to me. I said I was in DC for previously, blah, blah, blah. In the midst of the group work, recruiters, people looking for people that could plant churches in their specific regions of the country. So they came to the class like, oh, this is the perfect class to come find young people that are about to graduate and could potentially do ministry with them. So it was a couple people from DC. And it's not even that I anticipated them, because in my little spiel about who I am at the top of class, I was like, I just left DC, can't wait to go back. I was like, I am explicitly going back after school, no doubt about it. Like, I was so clear about it. And listen, fast forward, I go to the hallway during our break and I had to go use the bathroom. He was coming out the bathroom, I was coming in. I mean, like the hallway. And I stopped him. I was like, so-and-so, hi. Like, I just wanted to introduce myself. What part of DC? Like, man, yeah. Oh my God, tell him about my experience in DC. He was like, cool. Okay, so good to meet you. Now, if you missed it, this is a recruiter here for young people to come, because all of their ministries are in desperate need for ministers and ministry leaders. And that man said, good to meet you, ma'am. Explicitly was like, DC is the best place on the planet. I know the lay of the land. Like, he just did not care. It was like it just, and so that moment was so telling. Then finally, the guy it was one black guy in there. He was actually really sweet, really cool. He goes to he's part of the PCA only because he believes in racial reconciliation. Long story short, him and I were talking, and I was like, so man, are you PCA for real? And then he told me like, no, God called me because I feel called to racial reconciliation, blah, blah, blah. Then after that, all of that, he was like, but this is what he said. You're going to love this, Morgan. He goes, man, I got saved from a woman, right? Like the biggest impactful spiritual formation moments came from women, the women in my life, women on the street, like so-and-so, so-and-so. And I was like, so why are you here? So my brain, I was like, so he was like, I just want you to know that I don't believe that. But in essence, he just basically said, but where I'm willing to draw the line, not draw the line, where I'm willing to make the sacrifices is the women. It's always the woman that we okay with, like, man, that sucks. Keep your head up. So anyway, it hurt my feelings so much because this is the one black person in the room. I'm thinking we're gonna have some camaraderie. And we did, in part, we started going about the theology, with the parts we disagree, all of it. And then right at the end, he told me, yeah, it was women. I'm willing to sacrifice it though.
Right. Because my calling is so much higher.
Than the bigotry.
Right.
Than bigotry. Yes.
All right.
Anyway,
Good for you
that's what I'm at.
for making it out this week. Another week in seminary and PCA. She being I don't know how you doing it. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I really don't.
What are you navigating?
No lie, she sent me the video and I was like, you're the only one in the room.
And the thing is, because I know y'all probably thinking too, like, well, you selling on 2 kind, but like, it's too late for me. I have 40 credits. Where that's transferring? Who gonna take 40 credits of an MDiv? So I'm gonna have an MDiv, and it's gonna be a nice one too. This is with regard to the spaces that it exists in. The PCA seminary is like the seminary, so I'm actually it's a quality degree. It's just
Take what you get. You got the ability to read the scriptures, dissect the scriptures, and you move on. Like, and I think it's really funny that you was like, I'm ready to go back. Like, it's like, first of all, you couldn't even engage in conversation just to be like, I feel like this mic is super loud. You can engage in conversation just to be like, I used to live in DC, right? Like, what's your favorite restaurant? You know what I'm saying? Like, so much so, like,
exactly.
no women preachers, no women in ministry that I don't even want you to I don't want to lead you on. Like, I'm that, and that I'm interested in your.
He was like, "Yeah, cool, cool. Let's so good to meet you." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, so we don't even. We are in a room for this, and it was like, "Yeah, yeah." And final thing I say, I promise, you don't know how much this can impact you until you're in it, because you think like going in with the rah rah. I have a rah rah attitude when it comes to injustice and all that sort of a thing. So I thought that, oh, this won't phase me at all. It's just not true. Like it makes me so like it's painful every time. And I'm only saying that because like people are probably like, yeah, of course bigotry. But for me, I'm like, I'm just a cuss. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't think it would be this impactful, but it really is. Like it's crazy. Yeah.
Just don't say where you went. Well, maybe that might be a part of your story. Like you got your MDiv. Leave it at that.
And they were like, oh, you got your yeah.
Don't worry about where I got it from. Don't worry.
Mhm.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot.
I'm scratch it out. I'm scratch out the name.
Well, that's gonna open a lot of conversations. And why? And why?
Mhm. But you know what? It turned me back. This is why I can do this podcast so unabashedly based off where I was a few years ago, So the Lord, he's like, here you go. Here you go, thinking you made it out. Here you go. There you go. You said what? You said women have what?
You're gonna be a rebel for the cause. You are going to stand up for the women.
Because I'm trying to save all the white girls that I can, if I'm being honest with you. What are you navigating? I'm sorry. What are you navigating?
I am navigating this haircut. I decided to cut my hair off. This is the third time I've cut my hair off in life. First time to go natural, second time to cut my locks off because I had locks on the shave side, and then um this time, partially because we're on camera every week, and doing your hair every week is not my thing. Well, Chile. You see, in a last episode, I had pigtails in my head and literally had twist all over my head and just put the pigtails in my head. Like, and if I turn to the side, you can actually see my kitchen was a mess. Again, I'm like, I'm not gonna be doing that on the camera. And then I'm training for the High Rocks with a friend. High Rocks is a competition based out of somewhere in England, I think England, Europe. I'll say Europe, somewhere in Europe. That's what I meant, not England. And it's like a really like it's first of all, it's inclusive. It is intense, but it's inclusive to fitness styles, to age, all the things. So I seen two friends, older ladies doing it. So basically it's 8 different workouts and you have to run half a mile to each workout. So yeah, so you're running 4 miles and then you're doing stuff like sled pushes, lunges, little ski thing, rower.
Like an obstacle
It's
course?
not necessarily an obstacle course. It's literally like a race. It's going to be like through a convention center. So I'm going to the one in Chicago in November. So I'm training for that. And like I was like, we're not letting our hair hold us back because every time I think about working out, like I'm like, oh, my hair's gonna get wet because I sweat in my hair so bad. And then I tried starting locks after I had my little baby Frederica, but actually while I was pregnant with her. But I was like, I can't do this. It was not giving. If I do get locks again, I will do what is it, micro locks? Because traditional, I don't want to go through the process. I want micro locks. But also when I got locks, I'm on a tangent. But when I got locks, like I missed being able to comb through my hair. And I don't know, that might sound weird, but like just to be able to feel a comb on your scalp. I really missed that. So that's part of the reason I cut
Yeah.
them in the first place. But this time when I had my second set of locks, I combed them out. Anyway, I say all that to say I'm navigating the haircut. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I say microlux is like sister lux, right? I just want to make sure I have it in my mind, right?
You can't say that, but yes, they're interlocked and they're bigger, but also smaller than traditional locks.
Oh, okay, 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 gotcha.
Patented.
Okay. That's fire. First of all, well, in order. The thing is, color is like the haircut is always fire because I have seen you in all the phases, so I've seen you go back and forth. So it looks fire either way. But then the color takes it to like if it's a 10, then the color takes it to like 2010, huh? The color is fire. They don't know that part of me. Sorry, y'all gonna get to know more. But the color is gorgeous, so cute. Like, oh my gosh.
Thank you so much. I feel like I looked very Studisha when I came out of the I was like, I don't want to look more masculine than
Encourage
I want
her.
to be.
In case I didn't hear her, she said study shot. I don't know.
I want to be a feminine girl. I just don't want hair. I was just in my head about it. We'll talk about my journey with other things later in life. But I was very much like, I was like,
And you know what's so sad? What's frustrating about it is I watched, don't ask me why, 6 a.m. a video came up on my phone, and I watched it about natural hair and how black men and like just all of the nuances of walking around natural, like, and it broke my heart so much. And it's not stuff, I don't even have to go into the details of the video because you know all of the talking points of it. But it's just like every time somebody affirms it, it'd be like, man, the mental gymnastics that we have to do to navigate short, natural, long, natural, curl, like just whatever it is to be authentically us in our hair, man. Again, the conversation has been exhaustively had, but it's never going to not feel jarring and hard to grapple with, you know?
yeah. I will say I am blessed to be with a black man who does not care what my hair looks like. I just know as soon as my daddy see my head, he gonna be like, "You cut your hair again." I did. I didn't. The man I sleep next to do not care. I was like, I'm not gonna cut my hair. You've been talking about it for months, Morgan. Just do it. Okay.
Leave and cleave, leave and cleave. That's why we leave and cleave because as long as the men listen, that's all that matters.
My mama
All
said
that matters.
he don't know who he gonna wake up to in the morning, and don't. I
Huh?
might put a wig on
It makes
tomorrow.
so much better. Sure, I'm
What
sure.
Meg say? Switch my wig, make him feel like I'm cheating, or he cheating. What she say?
I was gonna be next. I was gonna Keisha, Felicia, Adana, Atana.
Oh my gosh! I just went to this
I met
event on campus, and we was playing this. I don't know. It's called CP time, and it said name 3 black names, and this girl was like, "What you say the DMX song?" I didn't know the DMX song. I knew the Cash Money song, and now I done completely blinked on it. Like, but I'm like, I didn't know the names of Project Chick.
all right.
Either Nina and her friend Tia, Melina, that ain't it there. I love y'all bras, no respect to my dogs, but I knew that song. I was like, I don't know the DMX song. Like I don't. But yeah. So that's what I'm navigating.
That's fair. No, well, audience, please pick her up because she looks gorgeous. And yeah, I'm glad you made the choice. How about that, actually? Because I am happy that you made the choice. And it is going to be so much easier. That's why I went and got braids too. Hopefully all this weave inside of it don't like make it. We'll see though.
Where
Anyhow, yes.
well, perfect segue to our topic. So every week we are giving space for the nuance. We want to talk through social issues that impact Black women. What is on the agenda today, Raven?
Well, Morgan, today's agenda is I'm so happy because it's not socially driven. Well, it is socially driven, but not pop culturally socially driven. It will. Right? It's an actual topic that we'll be able to really express our intellect on, I think, and also have some really in-depth conversation without necessarily having to point to celebrity culture necessarily. Obviously, it'll probably come up. Anyway, so today I wanted to talk about beauty. And I want to talk about it through the lens of some of the more redundant things that we've heard a lot about, which is like obviously the pressures that women feel to be beautiful and to remain beautiful and to remain youthful, and how much that has bled over into how we engage with one another, how we engage with men or sexual partners in general. So I want to talk about generally the pressures behind what it is to be beautiful. I heard Kimberly Foster say, shout out to Kim Foster for Harriet Page. She did a video a long time ago that literally was entitled, Beauty is a Bad Investment. And that statement alone just changed my life because in essence, the video was basically about how investing in beauty is not profitable because it doesn't turn a profit long term. Like you get a few years to be as the aesthetic standard, quote unquote, of what beautiful is. And even that, I know that that's kind of not the best language, but I know you're going to get into a book suggestion that corrects that. Anyway, you get a couple of years to be the standard, whatever that is, for the time and era that you live in, and then boom, you're on to the next. And so she was making the case not that you should not take care of yourself or that you should just walk outside looking like anything and not have pride in your looks, but rather being obsessive over it and making your looks a personality is dangerous because once it's gone, once the standard has moved past you or whatever you look like, what are you going to have left? So, and then how it correlates to Black women, and then I would love you to chime in here, Morgan. How it correlates to Black women, at least from my perspective, is I know that there have been a lot of, I know to exist in a Black body as a Black woman comes with its own, Morgan, you're going to speak to this way more, already comes with its own disqualifiers about whether or not you're beautiful, whether or not you can be seen as the standard and be acceptable, palatable to all people, right? And so there is some nuances there that we're going to come into. But anyway, yeah, but I don't want to give all of it, I guess. That's the gist of it, though. Beauty and the pressures behind all of it, and more specifically, the pressures behind it as a Black woman, and how we're disqualified from so much of what it even takes to be beautiful in this society. So, is that a good summary?
Yeah, but before we get into it for real, I want you to like talk about why you brought it up, like, and where it
Okay,
came
that's fair.
from.
Yeah. Oh, actually, okay. You know where it came from for me is I am gonna bring up a celebrity. It's good conversation. I was looking at a couple of things. First one is all the TTs, like remember Ava DuVernay a long time ago and all the other older women in Hollywood talking about how they don't want to be classified as aunties or TT. And I just think that is so disrespectful to the culture and the essence of why people say it. And although I give Black women autonomy and I want you to be able to be called whatever you want, but underneath it, underneath the reason why you don't want to be called that is
Right.
ageism. And it's a fear of aging. And I'm not angry at you for being scared of it because society does make you feel pressure to be beautiful for forever. However, that's why we said beauty is a bad investment. So that's why. And then the second part of the reason why is because I'm looking at some of our greats. I won't even name names because I don't want to do that because I'm not here to shame Black women. But I'm looking at some of our greats, like our elder actors, women, I mean, who have just decimated their faces, if I'm being real, and decimated their bodies to remain youthful and to remain beautiful. And now they literally look like shells of themselves. Again, I'm not going to say names, but just insert the person that you can imagine in your head. And I'm not saying that to shame because I see people clowning them, but it's actually heartbreaking because the beautiful, I'm talking about the ones that are like, you were going to age beautifully. Sure, you would look older for sure, but you were going to be so beautiful. Why would you decimate your body and your face like that if not for whatever pressures that exist in your brain that are making you so afraid to just gracefully go into that next phase? So that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Like the fact that celebrities are like outright rejecting, and also thinking about even Pamela Anderson outright rejecting makeup. I'm not doing it no
Mm,
more. And you were talking about how Nia Long has suffered in her career because of that, because they're rejecting this idea that I'm going to stay youthful. I'm in my 40s and 50s.
yep.
Why am I pretending like I'm not? You know? So I think so the first point that I wanted to bring up was that of course that it's the symbols of their time realizing I can't keep doing this because the goalpost is always moving. So like when you said beauty is a bad investment, you're literally chasing something you cannot ever catch up with. So you decide that we decide thin lips are in, and then we decide big lips are in. You're constantly shape shifting, trying to keep up with the standard, and you're like, okay. At some point, it's got to give. And like I think this is when we think about age. I think age is kind of like a great equalizer, and then also thinking like ability. It's a great equalizer in the sense that we're all going to get older.
Yep.
Prayerfully, we're all going to get older. And then even with ability, I don't know how I got it to ability. I remember we was talking about it in disability studies. They talk about how
Mm-hmm.
everybody is going to go through a phase of disability because what if you break your ankle? What if you've had a baby and you can't walk up and down stairs, right? So everybody is going to flow in and out of a disability. That's why it should be important to everybody. I mean, all these things should be important to everybody, but I was thinking about that as a great
Yeah.
equalizer as well. So that's my first point. Age is an equalizer when it comes to these type of situations. So we're seeing these sex symbols of their time come out and say, I don't want to do this no more. Like,
Yep.
and they're embracing their age. And I also love like when I see like women who are like, I'm done dyeing my hair. And their hair turns out to be so beautiful, gray and multi-dimensioned, like beautiful, right? We have to stop like thinking like aging can be depressing because like you're not youthful no more. I totally get it. Like I'm only 32, but like I do understand like the idea of I'm getting older and it's sad that my body doesn't feel the same way it did when I was 20 something, right? But
Yeah.
there's also this goodness that comes with age, that auntiness. There's wisdom that comes with that. There's the ability to let somebody come sit at your feet and hear your stories, right? I don't know. I can't wait
Can we wait? But you say you can't wait. What?
till I turn 40.
Yeah, and I think that is so true. It's honestly, it gave me chills when you said it because it's sobering. Age is the great equalizer, which essentially just means that it's all gonna catch up at some point. and it's gonna bring everybody on the same. Maybe you had the social hierarchy. Maybe you were at the top of the social hierarchy because you were the pretty person, right? You had
Mhm.
the pretty face, the big booty, the small waist, whatever the standard is for that era. At some point, it's gonna drop, the boobs gonna fall, all of the things will happen, and then you'll be on that same playing field with all of the rest of the normies, if you
Right.
will, right? Like, and so it's not that we can't marvel in what's beautiful, and that even includes people. Fine, if you find beauty in your face, in your body, cool. We don't have to pretend like there is science behind dimensional structure, bone structure, and things like that that makes humans more drawn to certain facial features than others. We can be frustrated about it, but fine, let's concede to that. Even still, even if we didn't politicize it at all, life will happen to you. And so the question becomes, since it is a great equalizer, maybe we could kind of pause here to talk about this part, is what does it look like to not make this the soul of who you are,
Mhm.
and also prioritize other, like, actually no, let me circle back, because you said something else that I think, because I think that could be more towards the end. I'll cut this out. But you said it's the great equalizer. Oh, you understand why people do it. That's what I want to talk about. Can we talk about that for a second? You understand why people do it because they feel this pressure. Let's talk more about there. Like, what do you think people be feeling? What do you think people
I mean,
go through
when
when they
sorry.
face this?
When it comes to beauty, we are thinking about like desire. Come on, book suggestion, desirability, right? And when we think about like beauty and all the things, right? It's the desire, it's a want to be desired. Who don't want to be
Mhm.
wanted, right? But you also have to come to grips with the fact that you might not be wanted according to the standards of beauty,
Mhm.
right? So then I'm also thinking about like somebody like Nia Long who is absolutely gorgeous and was also cheated on. So it's like, what the heck am I doing this for? You know what I mean? You was talking about the normies. Like, I'm 40, however old she is, right? And you get
Mhm.
cheated on just like the normies, right? Just like the woman who's working her 9 to 5, her husband's working her 9 to 5, like, and I done invested all this money, all this time into like remaining beautiful, and I
Yeah.
still get cheated on, right? So like we invest all of this because we want to be wanted, right? And I'm gonna talk about our book suggestion a little early. That is The Belly of the Beast
Yeah.
by Deshaun L.
Mhm.
Harrison, because they talk about desirability politics and they talk about capital B beauty and capital P pretty and capital U ugly, and then the lowercase b beauty and lowercase p pretty and lowercase u ugly is all subjective. I think if I understood the argument, but for sure I understood the argument of all the capitalizations of the words, that for sure the standard of beauty is always white and woman, right? Or if we're talking about women, right? It's always white, thin
Mhm.
woman. And if you go into their culture, you know that blonde is over brunette, like thin is always over big, all that, right? So that's capital B beauty. And then if we put in conversation, Tamara Lomax with Jezebel Unhinged, she has a portion of there where she's talking about true womanhood. Black women can never acquire true womanhood. So so this conversation is beyond relevant to Black women because you're chasing a standard that is literally not you. Like will never be capital B beauty. Now, you will be beautiful. You may be considered beautiful because um again, it'll be a lowercase b beauty is subjective. So like in our culture, light skin trumps dark skin and thin still trumps big, well, thick, maybe thick, big booties, right? So there's always nuance in that of like what is beautiful. But when we think about the grand scheme of things of what is desired, it's never Black women. So Black women chasing after this standard of beauty of like, I'm gonna get my body done, I'm gonna get this done, there's no point. And then don't bring up the fact that we end up like setting this as while we're not the standard, we end up setting standard, and then the fact that white women can put our what is it, our like literally take our bodies, get a BBL, and that's now the standard of beauty. And when that's rejected on us, even these nails, right? When that's rejected from us and it's taken over by the white women, we've already moved on and we're getting rejected on the next trend, right? So I don't know. That's where I'm at.
No, no, I appreciate. I'm making reference to my stuff too, so I can be prepared later. But no, but because since you've read Deshawn's, and I haven't read it, but I've heard so much about it in so many like academic settings. So I want to make sure that I'm clear,
Mhm.
and obviously then you guys benefit from it. So You're saying beauty, ugly, or beauty, ugly, and pretty, or something to that effect. They're all subjective terms, essentially, is what his argument is. Yeah,
Capital
and
B,
subjective to. Go ahead.
capital B, capital P, capital U is defined. That is not subjective. If I'm under
Wait. Okay, so right, so capital B beauty is white woman thin.
yes, yeah,
That's a good position. Wow. And
yeah.
then what are the lowercase ones?
Those are subjective. Again, if I'm understanding the
Okay.
argument correctly. Like those are
I
subjective.
can see that. Yeah. I can no, I can see that making sense, right? So essentially saying, now I don't know. Again, I don't know if this is his argument, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I could see a world where, right, we fight over the lowercase ones,
Mhm,
right, as Black women,
mhm.
like, oh, I got better than you, I got better than you, I got better than you. And it's like, girl, but you're never gonna
You're
be the
never
big,
gonna
the big, big.
exactly. You're never gonna be capital B beauty. Beautiful.
Yeah. What was the reason? What was the reason? Why is you doing this? You trying to lord yourself over a girl that's 2 shades darker than you for why? For
So
why,
why?
Pooh? For why, Pooh?
Ain't none of us pretty.
You said what?
Ain't none of us capital P pretty.
That part.
We
And
are,
can we talk,
however,
since you're on that?
I'm sorry, we are, however,
Go ahead.
capital U
No,
ugly.
tell us what capital U ugly
We
is.
are
That's societal.
yeah, like if capital P pretty, capital B beautiful is white woman, I'm thinking strictly about white women. I mean about women right now. White woman thin, et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera. Black women is capital that is defined as ugly. Period. Oh, I feel like I should have read this book before I got on here talking about his argument. But like
I've heard it talked about. That does sound, it was the little marginal things that I don't know about, but that is the argument that I've heard from, everybody. So it sounds like you're right. We can circle back though. We're growing with you guys. We're reading and learning. No, but that's guys, I just really want to pause there. I like to make sure we gathered that. Black women, we won't ever be able to be what the societies. I want to be very clear because, in my opinion, I think we look better. But we won't ever be able to live up to what the societal standard for beauty has been. And we're not even just going to say Western culture because colonization has
mhm,
plummeted the world. Right. So that's why you got African women bleaching skin. And this is not a blanket. I don't want to, but we know the history of skin bleaching in Africa. It's not that I'm not trying to blanket people. I mean, on and on and on. Like the Hispanic community, everybody prioritizes
right.
whiteness. And the only people that seeming to get it. That's the crazy thing. When we talk about some of these more prevalent but covert, not as covert issues with white people, I've had the conversations. They just be so oblivious. This is not about them, but they do be like, I'm like, Pooh, you are everybody wants to be
Right.
you. Even when I talk to brown girls, I'll talk to brown girls. I remember when I worked in Congress, it was like some Peruvian. I think she literally was Peruvian. I was like, girl, we buy her. But she was Peruvian and she had like coils, but they were like, look pretty. She's pretty. First of all, gorgeous. She was drop dead gorgeous. And she identified with me on the desire to be white. I didn't, not saying that we both talked about desiring to be white, but how the boys in her school only wanted the white girls and how she went to predominantly white schools, but she was still the rejected one. And I'm like, but if you see her, I was like, girl, and we've been trying to, like, it's so crazy. We're all inching toward
Right.
whiteness in whatever our specific context are. So if you're brown, you just want to live in more. If you're dark, you want to be like, but final thought here, because I actually want to be very careful with my language. I'm not saying that Black people want to be
Right.
white. I'm not saying that I want to be very clear. We love ourselves, but there is a dichotomy to exist in this country. Like there is a dichotomous nature of being Black in a society that praises
Mhm.
whiteness. And so inadvertently you are fed messages that make you either not, even if it's not hate your skin, be angry that you have to do more with your skin, more with effort in so many places because the anger comes from the fact that the standard is white. I hope that makes
Yeah.
sense.
I wanted to say when we talk about colonization, I think it's like I don't want to say I don't know where, but I think it's in South America, somewhere down there where they also colonized, right? That there are like so many different ways to describe skin color, like over 20, right? Different shades of black because they don't want to be the blackest of the black. They want to be the closest to whiteness. But to like to feed off of like what you're saying about we want to be white. No, we don't want to be white, but we do have to reject our blackness in some ways to be desired. And we don't even if you don't want to be white, you want to be white because we want to stay alive. Like that's the whole idea, like even the whole idea of like virtue signal, if I'm using that term correctly, like making sure you know I'm a good Negro, right? You're trying to appeal to a piece of whiteness in some kind of way to make sure that people know, hey, I'm not one of them. Like I'm trying to separate myself from the black folk, the other black people, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
You are constantly striving to be desired, to be beautiful. And of course, we're using these terms beauty, ugly as like a concept, but they are interchangeable when we're literally talking about like looks, and we're talking about value of human beings. So yeah, you want to be desired.
No, I'm glad you said that, because I hope that by now, that's why I wanted to pause on the big B, little b
Yeah.
stuff. I wanted to make sure they grasp that. So that way, as we're saying this just flippantly, or, we're moving through the conversation quickly, know that we're not saying that some people are ugly, some people are beautiful, but society does set standards. And guess what? This is the interesting thing, and we could push to the other parts of this conversation. The interesting thing that I want to be very clear about is I am what would I call myself? Well, I can't say that out loud. I understand that societies have hierarchies and segments and compartments, if you will, right? We break off into our tribes. That's an even better one. We break off into our tribes, and from those tribes are built naturally hierarchies. We're naturally hierarchical. And I think some of that is just because we're made by a God and made as like subordinates to a God, if you will. And so I think it's just naturally innate in us. So the reason I say that is because I'm not even angry that we've broken off into the uglies, the not uglies, right? That's to coexist on a planet with 7 billion people. Y'all were going to come up with some categories. I'm not angry necessarily at the tendency of human nature. However, this is a critique. This is an observation of the way that it has been divvied up and the unequal ways in which it has been divvied up,
Right.
and how one group so happens to always come out on the top in
Right.
every capacity and that it was divvied up. And so you could even say, well, that's what life is about. It's about conquering it because of sin. Like, you can make those cases, right? That life is about conquering. Okay, so then I'm gonna always call out the BS of the people who conquered the most.
Right.
Is that okay? Right? Like fine. We can acknowledge the tendencies of human nature and be mad at the people who did the worst in it, right? Can we talk about, because that was more of like the aesthetic standard and how whiteness has kind of like taken over that portion of what it is to be beautiful. But I'm also thinking about the aging piece too. Can we, unless you have something more on the whiteness too, 'cause I don't care. I'm just saying.
I'll talk more about Black women in a minute. But yeah, we can talk about the aging part.
Are you sure? Because I just didn't know.
Well,
Let's flesh, because if this is the place to do it, let's flesh it. Yeah.
I was just gonna say the quicker that Black women reject standards of beauty and reject the fact that they are not capital B beautiful, the quicker that we will be free. And that if we just, and I know a lot of us nowadays, we are, Black is the standard. You know what I'm saying? This idea of like
Yeah.
Black famous versus white famous. Like, we cool with just being Black famous. We cool with like no one. We cool with our people, right? But just like the faster we, but also I'm thinking about. Never mind. I'm not going there. The faster we reject that the goalpost is moving at all times, and that we don't have control over the goalpost moving, the quicker that we'll be free. Like,
Yeah.
invest in something that is not, but at the same time we all do it. I'm not getting on this camera without putting some concealer on my face. I'm just not doing it because the dark circles are dark circling. But and I know that that is a standard of beauty. You know what I'm saying? I also am navigating the fact that in order to get views, you have to show up in a way that is presentable on the internet, right? Because the algorithms favor beauty.
Man, I'm glad you actually acknowledged that, because at first I was like, am I tripping? Yeah, the algorithms favor beauty, babes. I'm so sorry. And maybe it's just because I'm old, because I was like, I think they only prioritize the videos where I look, videos where my hair's curled and my makeup's done. I kid you not. Like, it's actually, robots are watching your videos and saying, no, ugly, bye.
Right. Girl, don't
I
let
don't
me
know if
lose
it's
some
that
weight. We're
sinister,
gonna get
but
all the views, okay?
if we would, oh,
Yeah.
let me not
Yeah.
even. But yeah, no. So that is really scary. But on the Black woman thing, I don't want to move past that too fast. I'm glad you said that, because the sooner, you're right. I'm repeating you. The sooner we just make peace with that, we're not going to be that standard and just truly prioritize ours and whatever that looks like, however that shows up. You're right, the freer will be. And at first I was like, I was going to have you flesh out freedom, but I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Free meaning not overly consumed and obsessed with however we can get closest to whiteness.
Right.
And although that's not an explicit thought, it's definitely implicitly there because of all of the stuff that we live in. For me, shoot. But yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And it's final thought for me is triggering. That's why I'm like, whoa, oof, oof. That's very triggering. It's getting easier with age for me. I'm not gonna lie, it is getting easier with age, but it's hard, man. Like, oh, it's hard.
So the idea of age and why we run from age, I think has to do with the fact that we again will not be desired because with age comes less mobility or pain.
Yeah.
Who are the people we shame in society? The people who are older and don't move as fast, might walk with a cane, right? The people, it's the people who may be differently abled or disabled, right? Like we shame those people. And when you get older, you might be one of those people. But if we're centering this conversation around desirability, like that, you start to reckon with the fact that I can't do anything to stop aging, can't do
Man.
anything to remain beautiful. Like
Mm,
you can work out as much as you want, your body will thank
yep.
you for it in a few years, and at the same
Yep.
time you're still going to be 50, 60, 70, 80 years old,
Yep.
and
Yep.
everything's not going to work in pristine condition as it did when you were 20, 30. I
Mhm.
hope that makes sense.
It made perfect sense. And yeah, let's slow it down because I just really I don't know why this one is just such a profound topic to me, but it triggers me in this way or it rivets me because you're right, it's the great equalizer. And it's such oh, I know why. It just hit me. Because it's such a reminder the temporary in competition with the eternal. Like, every time we think I'm fast, I'm quick, I'm doing so much about our lives as Westerners, American Westerners to be clear, is about acquisition and mobility and swiftness and
Mhm.
fast and bigger and better. All of the things. Age is the one thing where you're like, that's right. All that swiftness, all that fast talk, all that pretty, all that everything will die. It's going to die. It's going to fade because you weren't born to live in this temporary space for forever. Everybody has their different perspectives about why we're here. I may have some that I'm still fleshing out. Go read Rick Warren for all I know. The Purpose Driven, remember The Purpose Driven Life? That was such a famous book. Anyway, but the point is, I'm not endorsing Rick Warren at all. I'm just a joke. Just want y'all to know. But the point is, whatever you believe as far as the reason of why we're here, the point is we're going to be gone soon. If we're
Mhm.
lucky, we get about 75 to 80 years on average here. And I know that everybody's trying to, I know they're debating and creating, having serious conversations about cloning, I was listening to an AI podcast or a podcast about AI because I'm really interested in that sort of thing. And they were talking about how in the next 50 to 100 years, we'll probably have gotten it down packed how to basically make a person live, if not for forever, for like more than 100 years, like the average person living more far over 100 years, that sort of a thing. And do I think that we'll probably be able to get the science to do so? I actually do. Do I think that's fruitful and productive? No. Do I think that'll have horrible implications for the future? Yes. But I'm also a futurist, so I'm an optimist. Nevertheless, the point is, even if you make it to 200, you're going to leave soon because ain't nobody beating God. You can't rewrite DNA, right? And I think, anyway, sorry, that was a ramble. So yeah, my point this conversation is sobering because as redundant as this may sound, I actually like repeating this, guys. Make peace with the fact that you're going to die because then now you can watch your skin fold and you can watch the things happen and it will be jarring, but it'll be jarring in a way that is sobering and somber and reflective and makes you really think seriously about who and what and why am I. Yeah, yeah.
I also was thinking, you had said something that made me think about this. We push older people aside, and I think I've encountered so many people. I feel like it was you that I was talking about this week, or somebody like we would say we're talking about like having older friends. I know so many young people
Oh
right
yeah.
now who have friends in their 60s and 50s and legit friends. And I think that when we stop, that's also anti-community. When you only want to be community with people who look like you, are around your age, we have to stop when you are scared that you're going to be treated like an old person, right? And I'm not going to be quote unquote like you're going to be pushed aside. Like change that and don't push those people aside, right? Like bring them into community and let the conversation, let the I feel like older people like you keep me young, right? Like be around older people desire to be around people first of all, and I think them being around younger people, it keeps them youthful, it keeps them hip. I just love hearing stories of older people constantly learning, and especially with like LGBTQ issues. Those be the funniest stories to me. They be like, they don't know half of what they talking about, but they're sitting and learning and trying to figure out what pronouns are and trying to donate to the right organizations and trying to get it right, right? So like the idea of never stopping, like always keeping going and being around and in that way, but not never stopping in the sense of like grind culture and we're trying to keep up with the Joneses and stuff like that. Like reject all that. But I was gonna ask you a question because I feel like we're two accomplished girls and both were like, I can't wait till I'm turn 40. But then I'm thinking, what if there's somebody who's like, okay, but y'all are accomplished. You know what I'm saying? Like you've done things that are kind of like exceptional and that's why I don't want to turn 40 yet because I still feel like I have life to live. I feel like I still
Yeah.
have to accomplish something. And I don't know what the answer is to that. Like, so where are we going with that?
No, first of all, this is why y'all, we gotta love her. Don't we love her? Seriously, because we always need to be able to prioritize a different perspective and a different voice. And what that would have to mean sometimes is leaving your socioeconomic like thought, right? Because there are
Mhm.
certain schools of thought that go with schools of people. So I appreciate that so much. That's a great point, actually. And that is a place of privilege in some regard
Mhm.
because I've been able to accomplish a great deal. I was excited to get to 30. I was like, let's go. What's the next 10 years gonna come with? Because I was busy and I did, right? So you're so right. I think my thoughts would still remain the same in that, first of all, you have to take value out of accomplishments and acquisitions. And I know it's easier said than done. Again, I want to acknowledge, yes, but I mean, there's nothing I can do about what we've done. We are who we are. However, this still, I think, is universally true. So I hope you can hear our hearts beyond who we are and what we've been able to do. Take your value out of anything that you can or can't acquire, or anything you do or don't do, and make it solely about, and or realize it's not even make, because it is. Actually, let me tell you, Puka, if you didn't know or have never heard this, you are inherently value without accomplishing anything, without acquiring anything. You have immense value because from the day you were born and life was breathed into your body from the heavenlies, you had value, you had a name. Think about, final thing I'm gonna say, I say this to my clients, and I just want you to hear me in the same way I do it to them. Think about all of the amount of sperm and egg cells that exist in your parents' bodies, right? I think how many we're born with, like millions, if not, yeah. Think about that and think about what it would take for
One,
one sperm
one sperm, one egg, one.
to meet. And not only that, because now that I'm old and potentially want to get pregnant soon, the probability of pregnancy is like 30%. Not to say that that's not minuscule, but what I'm saying is, so all those billions of eggs, billions of sperm, on top of the minimal chance of 30% chances of pregnancy, and yet and still life was breathed into your soul. And so, anyway, saying that to say, we go and acquire things and get money and accomplish things to refine the beautiful, purpose filled person that we already are. Because you were born with such greatness and power and beauty and purpose, you go and do things like, oh, let me go get a degree. Let me go write books. Because how else can I refine this wonderful masterpiece that was so artfully crafted by the creator? That's where value comes from. It was baked into the package. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I'm actually about to share a little revelation. No, but first I was gonna say that when you were saying that the degrees and stuff, I'm always like these degrees don't mean jack because at the end of the day, I'm still black. I'm still a woman. Like I'm driving down the street, they're not gonna know I got 3 degrees. They're not gonna know. They just not. So at the end of the day, like those accomplishments mean nothing. And at the same time, our chasing after accomplishments can also be rooted in desirability, can also be rooted in the fact that I want to be seen, that I want to be accomplished, I want these things behind my name, et cetera, et cetera. But when you were talking about you being inherently valued, this year, I feel like my biggest revelation has been that whatever you decide to do, like who God has made you to be is your calling. I feel like we're always searching, like, what is my calling? What is my who God has made you to be is your calling. Period. Like whatever you decide to do, you have autonomy over that. Like whatever you decide to do. Oh, one day I want to be a sower. What's that song? There's a song that says, it's a gospel song, and he's basically saying, if I were right, I will use my pen. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you
No matter who we must praise.
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, like whatever you decide to do, and I don't even know how I'm like explaining this correctly the way I received it, but like who you are is the calling, and who you are is the value. Like you don't have to have another degree. You don't have to. And I know we live in a world that tells us that because our skin looks X, Y, and Z, like you have all these accomplishments that you are more than like somebody else who doesn't. But you are valuable, and so I just want to echo that. Just the being part. The being part is the value. Like you being Raven on a Wednesday night is that's it.
And guess what, though? The beautiful thing, because how this correlates to this is that the beautiful thing is the sooner you establish that and you come to peace with, oh, I have value despite anything I do or don't do, then it invigorates you to be like, what can I do? Because now you see yourself as valuable, and a person who sees themselves as valuable then begins to explore things that is within that vessel that they're housed in, right? Like, well, what is that? I am good at
Girl.
running. I should join our club, or I am good, whatever it is, right? The more you make peace with this value, then you'll be able to start contributing to the world in a way that, because I do believe that even scripture talks explicitly about the fundamentals of what it is to be a productive person, right? And productive don't just mean money, but just fulfilled, right? We want to have fulfillment. So I hope y'all don't hear that. Anyway, there are things that we can do and should do, and there are giftings and callings and talents and inclinations that every person has baked in them that you should tap into. But you don't ever want to go into that journey with feeling like you're doing it because you have to start building up some value and make yourself worthy, because you'll quit it every time, and the bar will never stop. The bar will never stop raising, because every time you accomplish one thing, then you want to go on to the next thing because you don't feel like you're enough. And so, yeah, and how it correlates to death and aging is, right, the sooner you see your value as just an inherent human, then you'll start to grapple with the why of why you're here, and the beauty in knowing that, like, that why has an expiration date. And it's not even, I'm not trying to say it like so we can just be like, yep, and I'm gonna die. Like, it's sad. It's sad. It's jarring. It's like it's sobering. We weren't born to do this. Again, pre-Eden, we weren't technically born to do this. So it is gonna be sad. But we have a range of emotions, which means we can navigate sadness. Sadness is a part of life. So feel it and don't run from it, and allow your purpose to make you, finding your purpose rather, to make you sober minded about the truth of why you're here and what's going to happen at the end of that here-ness. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna piggyback off of something that you said, just like having gifts inside of you. I'm gonna call my sisters out right now, literal sisters, Crystal and Brittany. When I say I had to tell these girls, they are bakers and cooks, like they can do the thing, right? And I'm just like, will y'all please sell the thing? Like,
Sell them, guys. Please sell them. Hear us well. The whole world is to sell.
and
Go
then
ahead.
thinking about like your gift, right? When you are constantly chasing after like something that is intangible, like a degree or you're the right moment, right? I think it kind of speaks to the fact that you're kind of like you're always, I don't know, you're always seeking after something that is not, I had it. You're seeking after a thing.
Like intangible.
Yeah, and it's like you have value. Like when okay, when you are constantly being told as a black woman, not using my sisters on this example, but when you're constantly being told as a black woman that you are nothing because you are capital you ugly, it doesn't give you the confidence to step out and do the thing that you feel called to do, because you at the end of the day you're going to feel like I can't do that, or my stuff isn't like good enough, right? Because I've always been told that I'm not good enough. And it's like, no, in reality, just being who you are is of value. And I think just if you start to realize and reject the idea of trying to grasp and pull on something beyond, like pull on beauty, reject the beauty, right? Reject desirability, reject trying to be desired, and just be who you are. I think that will free us up and allow us to get to the place we are called and purposed to be. Period. That's all I got.
Yeah. No. Perfection. Perfection. I love that so much. I just want to leave that in the air. Go ahead.
And when you start to realize that you are inherently valuable, you start to you start to demand like, because I
Yeah.
got value. No, because I got value.
From yourself
Exactly.
too. Yes, yes. Because I find myself some days, because I've like, so you know what I love about this? Because I'm not saying this from a place of therapy talk. Like, I literally do
Yeah.
this. I believe this about myself. I have foregone degrees big at me, or degrees giving me my worth, and outward success giving me my worth. I really have foregone that. That's how I was able to walk away from Congress at the height of, everybody was like, why would you? That's such a prestigious, that's 1 in 100. I was like, girl, I'm I'm me without anything. It's okay. And the same girl that got me there is the same girl that'll get me
Right.
wherever else I'm supposed to be, because I'm the one that did it.
Right.
It's me. But anyway, so yeah, I love that this is real. Like I get so emboldened and passionate about this, and we do, because this is what we're actively living out, y'all. Like some of this comes with age too. But anyway, you start to do it for
Yeah.
yourself too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you start to not accept bad things or lesser things even from
Mhm.
yourself, even bad talk. Like you be like, I gotta stop this, honey. Girl, I'm me.
And then you start to like listen. If there was one thing I learned from one of these churches I went to for a little while was they did this video about speaking negativity over ice cubes, and literally when you were speaking negativity over the ice cubes, it looked like disgusting. But when you like spoke positively, when you spoke positively over the ice cubes, they were crystallizing. And me and a former friend, we would literally like if there was ever negative talk, right? You're not crystallizing because your body is made up of water. So if your body is constantly hearing negativity, I cannot stand hearing somebody talk negative about themselves around me. Like I correct that immediately. I hate it. Like I'm so dumb. No, you're not. Like I hate that. Like it just does something to me because I know words can do so much damage. That whole sticks and stone thing is not real. Like words damage you. You start to demand better around you and better for yourself.
Yep, no, 100%. And so as this correlates to aging, see yourself better. See what you bring to the world outside of beauty, because beauty is a bad investment. Be pretty. Invest in being you paid to get your hair cut and colored and it's beautiful. I just paid to get this. We buy clothes. So like we're being realistic about the culture
Yeah.
that we live in. And we can also be honest and realistic about the fact that because we're Black women, circling it back, because Black women can't be the capital B, but we still have to live in a culture that don't let us be capital B? Are there certain levels of conformity that even I will never say do it. I understand how there are places of conformity that we all have to make in order for us to be able to function and just go about our daily lives. I get that there are some conforming that will, I won't say has
Right.
to, because I don't believe it has to, will take place. And so this isn't me saying you're not a part of the culture or the era that you exist in. I get it. What I am saying though is, and this is where, let me scoot up to the Kemi. I want you guys to recognize that it's time to begin, if you haven't already, it's time to begin the process of reforming your thoughts. And dare I say, maturing our thoughts. And when I say that, I mean, let's think beyond aesthetic stuff.
Mhm.
Let's move beyond pretty. Let's please, a booty and a face and a nice body is not a personality trait. And I say this in so much big sister love because guess what? I know I'm still a little too young BTT to the girls that may listen to this, but I'm on my way and I'm excited. Despite what they say, I'm excited because you gonna hear me. You gonna hear, because I know, like you said, a lot of them are afraid to be classified as TT because they don't want to be dismissed, which that's gonna go into my book suggestion. But I mean, I have a book suggestion for this. But anyway, but the way that you dispel that is you set the precedent for what's important in culture, auntie. You, so like, oh yeah, people will dismiss you and you demand that they don't. But the reason why it happens, and I'm not saying people dismissing you is your fault, but what I'm saying is you can set a precedent in a room just by how you walk in, the confidence with which you move and maneuver. We can set tones and set precedents, but so long as you trying to do all the TikTok dances, wear your ripped jeans, okay, I'm gonna cut that out. You trying to do everything like me, auntie, it's okay that you're aging, or whomever this, no, we're talking Black women. It's okay that you're aging. Set the precedent. I get the fears, but the way that you combat the fears is by changing your thinking. That's why I wanted you to repeat what Deshaun said. I wanted to repeat the great equalizer comment, and I wanted to settle into that conversation about death. Because I know it's such a cuss word, but that's the reason why it feels so uncomfortable, because we just don't like to say mortality. You're aging, you're immortal, or you're mortal. So that means this stuff is inevitably going to, you can die this all day long, but baby, that is going to be what it's going to be. You can put as much plastic in your face as long as you want, but it's going to be what it's going to be. So accept it. And then once you've accepted it, here's the practicals. I've accepted it. It's sad. It's scary. Okay, so what does that mean for my life? Since that is a truth that I have to accept, what truth must come from this vessel before it does die? And then that takes you into a world of beauty and God and profundity and books and excitement. And it takes you out of the, yeah, like my jeans? Okay. Okay, I'm done.
So I was gonna say, like, instead of investing in beauty, invest in wellness. Simply because,
Yes.
like, I'm thinking about like this idea that, like, because somebody is bigger, that they're unhealthy. That's not necessarily true, right? So instead of just investing in like, oh, I have a smaller body or I want a smaller body. So for the art, what's the girl saying segment, I put on the story, what have you all done in the name of beauty? What have you done in the name of beauty that was just like wild? And I put on there, I got 80% of my stomach cut out. And that's because I had vertical sleeve gastrectomy. And I also realized in hindsight that that was probably shaming to some people because I do know that people get that surgery and do have weight loss surgery for health. I didn't have any comorbidities. So I essentially just wanted to be smaller. I wanted to be cute. I wanted to have a slim, thick body, right? And I had it for a moment and then I started eating more. Like, so I wasn't investing in wellness and this essentially I was investing in beauty. I was investing in trying to look an aesthetic. And and on paper, I've remained healthy, right? I'm saying all this to say that that's an example of like, don't invest in beauty per se. Like, don't go and do something because you want to be beautiful, because the standard is going to move, right? Invest and you have to be comfortable within your body. That is something that I have been learning, like, or trying to learn in my 30s, is regardless of whatever body I have, that I'm going to embrace it because that is the body that is keeping me alive. Like all these people who say all that stuff, like it's really like it's real. This body created a baby. This body birthed a baby at home with no medication. Like in 8 hours, I must add. Like we have to like be okay. Like this body is keeping me alive, right? So it's rejecting like this, I'm rejecting like what the beauty standard is. I am not the beauty standard. I also wanted to talk about where we are privileged in places. But we might talk about colorism another day because I know we talk about colorism a lot, being light skinned girls. So we might talk about that later. Um,
Okay, no, that's fair.
but yeah, invest in wellness, invest in I was thinking about hair, right? Black women gonna do our hair because we creative and we just gonna do our hair, right? And we gonna dye it and we gonna put braids in it and we gonna lock it and we gonna be different every other day. Wellness is examining if this food is not reacting well with my body, if this dye is not reacting well with my body, if this skin care is not doing what it needs to be doing what it needs to be done, even though TikTok said it's the latest trend, that's not well. Like you are seeking after beauty, you're seeking after something that doesn't like wellness for your body. So invest in wellness, like truly getting to know yourself. And I think that that is actually something that has come with age for me, is like figuring out like this whole idea. Like Desmond was always is saying like one of us need to be making money off of TikTok. I'm not a capitalist. I also use 3 products on my face. 1 at the moment. I use toner, I use rose water and vitamin E oil. Like I think when I turned like 27, I was like every year I've tried to embrace a different level of womanhood. So it's like I know what scent smell good on me. I know what makeup look good on me. I've been using the same concealer for years. I just changed foundation. And that's because Tatiana was like, try the Cacique. And that I put that, well, I didn't even say, she didn't even tell me try it. I did her makeup and that Cacique, Clinique, girl, Cacique, Clinique.
I was like, see,
Cacique is
because I'm
bra
obsessed with
underwear.
skin stuff. I was like, see,
Cacique
let
is
me think.
bra and underwear from Lane Bryant. Clinique, that full coverage be full coveraging. And I was like, I'm about to get that. And that was the first time I probably changed up my foundation in a very long time. So like when you embrace wellness, you figure out what's good for you and you keep it moving.
Yeah.
Like it inherently, when you start rejecting like beauty standards, you will eventually start rejecting a whole lot of other things like capitalism and consumerism and all that's rooted in there as well. But when you embrace like a wellness model and do things actually mean you well and do you well, you will like you'll automatically start rejecting this stuff.
The only thing I want to say to that, because you actually said it, because I was going to share a story. I told you this story already. A couple of years ago, I was at the beauty shop and I don't wear my natural hair. Oh, I'm sharing with the family. You guys are family. I don't wear my natural hair out often, if at all, actually. And so much so that even the people that see me all the time when I do wear it, they'll be like, "Oh, God," like it's like a thing. So anyway, saying that to say, so I went to the beauty shop to attempt to try and get it done and wear my natural hair out. And she whatever, and she turned me around in the mirror after blow drying it out or whatever, and it just I was like disgusted. I was disgusted. Yeah, I was just like, and in that moment I was like, oh my God, and this is where it's real. Speaking to everything you just said, that's why the story came up. I was like, all that confidence is fake. That was the day that it really hit me. I was 27. And that was when I realized all my confidence is inflated and it's built off of stuff that don't belong to, or that I had to get afterwards, right? Not the me, but stuff I had to put on to feel prettier, to feel smart, to feel important and valuable. And that was the day it all hit me at once. It wasn't just the hair. Because the girl was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm a fraud." But the reason I'm bringing it up is because when you were like, wellness is specific to you. I don't know if I'm ever gonna have a day where I don't wear weave. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a day where I don't wear my weave. I don't know. Maybe. I'm open to it, maybe. But the point is, even if it's not, I address, hold, and coddle that part of myself that feels tethered to frustration about my natural hair. I fully understand the history of why Black women struggle with natural hair. I fully understand all of it, right? And those are the places that I hold a little bit harder and a little bit tighter.
Right.
And you know what I mean? I squeeze a little bit more. And if the day comes for me to feel better about it, maybe I always say when I have a daughter, that's when I want to just completely, because I want her to know. But that'll be something that I navigate. But the point is what you said. Well, what wellness looks like for me, though, is coddling her, making sure she's okay, making sure that I am filled to the brim with love and support and affirmations and all the necessary things I have to do to affirm myself. I don't want it to seem like it's just this, yeah, we're here now, and just
Right, we figured
embrace.
it out.
It's hard. It's really
Mhm.
hard. And I don't, and you, maybe y'all are journey on this with me, but it's hard, but I'm not lying about it. And I think
Mhm.
that I just want us to, if sometimes maybe it'll just look like, don't lie about it. Yeah, it is. If you see your forehead getting a little wrinkly and that scares you, okay, be honest. You don't have to like, yeah, you just look so youthful. Thank you. You get Botox. And I'm not telling you to tell people, but make sure that you're honest with yourself.
Right.
Because it's when you live in mass makeup and hair and clothes and money, so long degrees, you will start to forget. And that was what happened to me at the beauty shop today. I was like, oh, that's right. I don't actually think I'm that pretty. Oh, it's deep, but yeah. So anyway, I hope that correlated, and that was my.
Yeah. This is a great conversation. This is a great conversation. Let's do our book suggestion.
Okay.
So my book suggestion straight up is Deshaun Harrison, The Belly of the. My book suggestion is Deshaun Harrison, The Belly of the Beast. That book was revolutionary for me, and I really love that book, and I think it should be part of our library. What is yours?
Mine is called Hags, Hags, to play off the word, old hags, and people call women actually historic. But, and then the subtitle I had to, because I was like, me, I should be struggling with them subtitles, child. But it's Hags, the demonstration of middle-aged women by Victoria Smith. And this one is more of a historic book because it goes into the history of how women were shamed for aging and how women were infantilized forever, and the impacts that it's had on present day culture and society and how we look at older aging women. And she gives such freedom to older women and aging women to age gracefully and powerfully and beautifully. So yeah, I think it's a good one.
Thanks. Moving on to our next. I have not read that, but I will add that to my book list and add that to our StoryGraph. If you are looking for our Deshaun's book, if you are looking for the book suggestions and like I can't keep up, if you follow us at What's on the Agenda podcast on StoryGraph, also Black woman owned, you will see all of our book suggestions. So moving on to What's the Girl Saying? Fun.
I love that we've kept that.
I would really love for one person to write in to say, you know what, let me check our email, see if anybody has said anything. What, you got something?
No, I'm saying yes. Well, I was saying one.
Will there be one? The doors of the church are open.
I went to a church Sunday that did that. I was like, 1963, okay. What century are we in?
Listen, just one person. I will, if you answer the question of like, have you done in the name of beauty that you're like, okay, I'm done, or what have you done in the name of beauty? Maybe something hit you in this episode that made you come to a realization. Share it with us and let us know if you want to remain anonymous. I think I will kind of probably assume everybody wants to remain anonymous unless you tell me otherwise. Just for the sake of not blasting people out. But have you heard anything?
No, I hadn't heard anything, but I was about to say we can clip this right here that we're saying I think we can clip this and have people at least comment or something for inbox. because I think this is a really good topic.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at our email. We ain't got nothing. Again, our email is whatsontheagendapodcast@gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
I will say I know we're not talking to ourselves, so we have people listening. So I'm so excited for the small community we have building, and I'm grateful for y'all. Yeah.
Yeah, let's say it right now on the air. On the air, in all seriousness, this is fun. This is fun because
Thanks.
why you do things for a passion and a love, because this is what we did already with each other anyway. So it's so fun to be able to monetize it or commodify it. Yeah, anyway, and put it out for public consumption. There it is. And I'm glad for the community that we do have and the ever growing community. And by the end of next year, we're going to be among the #1 podcast for Black women in every sector. I'm just boom. And I just can't wait to clip this. So I wanted to say it because I love when the girls have their clip. Their year-end clips and the differences. I can't wait. So I wanted to clip. I don't know if you want to add something to it, but that's mine. What do you think? What will you declare?
That we're gonna have a live show in 2026. Maybe a tour, but a live show. One live show.
And it is so, and so it is.
In Jesus' name. Amen.
I can do the next one. Oh wait, no. Oh no, that is one. I love that we're going through this in real time. Heart segment. No, this is the part. This is at the end. It's right now. Tell me why this matters. Tell me from the heart to the heart. Why does all this matter, Morgan?
This matters to me because I think I've been caught up in trying to feel and be beautiful, and mainly my weight for my whole entire life, and still on the journey of trying to feel beautiful in my body, and me also desiring to want to reject desirability politics and reject my goal in life is to reject it, even though I know I'm steeped in it as well, but I know at the end of this day I'm still gonna be sad. Oh, we got ice cream downstairs. I'm still gonna be sad.
This child.
I just got Telemunk. I've never had Telemunk, so it was buy one get one free, and I was only gonna get one, but then I was like, it's buy one get one free. Why would I not get the free one? So I'm in this really bad space right now. I wouldn't say bad, but I am in a bad mental space right now because I know I eat my feelings, and I don't know what feelings I'm feeling right now, but I'm eating them. And I think I'm eating the fact that I want to be smaller and I want to reject. So why does this matter? Because I also want to be free, and I want my sisters to be free as well. Not Crystal and Brittany. I do want them to be free, but I mean my Black sisters. Like I want my sisters in this community to also be free of all the things that we are tied to make us feel valuable, and just allow ourselves to be and be free and allow our being to be the thing that makes us feel valuable. Why does this matter to you?
Echoing all of that, of course, it matters for me because as a people group, or to be a part of a people group that were inherently left out of what it is to be capital B beautiful, and also simultaneously be a woman where so much of your value in a culture and in society is predicated on beauty, what a muff to be thrust into. What an unfair dichotomy to be forced into. All of your value comes from beauty to us, right? Culture. And also you're disqualified from what we think is beautiful. How unfair is that? And so anyway, it matters because since that is the mind F that we've been forced into, since that is the horrible evil that we have had to embody for forever, I wanted to do it at forever, we needed to be able to have a conversation and continue to have conversations around what it looks like to embrace love and just exist in the beauty that is the Black woman, separate from the societal standards. So, and finally, and it matters too, just to get personal, because of all the TTs. And then I personally think about my aunties and my granny with her beautiful dark skin, who hated it her whole life. May she rest in peace. She wouldn't even smile in pictures and stuff, right? So and that's why it matters, because her legacy deserves, and all of our grandmothers, right, whatever context, deserve for us to reform past this nonsense. So
that's good. So can I make one more declaration over our podcast?
Absolutely.
When the aunties in the theology world go write their next book, and our sisters writing their books, we are going to be the step on the tour that they're like, we got to get on the podcast. We can talk to the girls.
That's a good one. Yes, period. Spacebar. Yes. I won't even add anything. That's perfect. That makes me, yes.
And that's a wrap. This was a great episode.
You
Comment,
comment.
review.
I was trying.